So thank you very much for this kind invitation to share my views about the impact of AI on the transport sector. So first of all, fatigue is one of the biggest health and safety concerns in transport. So take road transport, for example. Long-haul truck drivers often work incredibly long hours under stressful conditions and with far little rest. And the consequence can be devastating, not just for the drivers themselves, but for everyone on the road. In 2021, a study conducted by the European Transport Workers Federation revealed that in the 12 months leading to the survey, 66% of both bus and coach drivers regularly felt tired. And this is not it. 24% of bus and coach drivers and 60% of professional truck drivers admitted they had actually fallen asleep at the wheel at least once. So now picture this. You are a long-haul truck drivers working for a transport company. You're driving alone on the highway in the red truck that you see here in the picture. It's 9 a.m., you have followed the rules, you have taken your break, but fatigue is creeping in. Your eyelids start to grow heavy, your reaction slows, your judgments also start to get cloudy. And then all of a sudden, your truck starts to drift into the next lane, putting your life and the life of others at risk. And then you jolt awake, just in time, no one is hurt this time. Now, what if an AI system implemented by your employer could tell you that you are becoming too tired to drive even before you realize it? What if an AI system could prevent the danger even before it began? Now, this is not science fiction, it's actually happening. There are a number of AI systems that can detect fatigue. These are currently being researched and developed, and some of them are already in the market. This AI system can detect and track signs of fatigue, like eyelid closures or yawning, before drivers even feel it themselves. They can also alert vehicle drivers and managers before a tragedy occurs, by, for example, informing workers that they need to take a break. Some of these systems can also detect and signal unsafe driving behavior, like, for example, using the phone at the wheel or smoking. This sounds like a breakthrough, right? Something that every transport company would like to have. But here is the catch. To identify unsafe driving behavior, to detect microsleep, to, for example, also monitor fatigue level, this system needs to watch drivers closely, very closely. For example, using advanced computer vision, some systems can collect real-time and continuously information about the eye movement of a driver or the steering patterns. Other systems, like wearables, for example, can gather physiological data, for example, the pulse of a driver with sensor attached to the earlobe, or brainwave activity with headbands incorporated into headwear. So the question is, how do we balance the need for safety with workers' fundamental rights? And linking to the presentation before, primarily the right to privacy and data protection and the right to health and safety at work. Now, I would like to give you two examples of AI systems that are currently shaping the future of fleet safety. The first one, as you see here, it's a camera, not just a regular camera though. This is PowerFleet Dashcam. It's an AI-powered device that is used to guarantee fleet safety. It's a dual-facing onboard camera. One lens looks at the driver, one lens looks at the road. Using advanced computer vision, this device allows companies to monitor workers' behavior across the fleet, as this dashcam can detect and manage unsafe driving behavior, for example, distracted driving from full usage, and even signs of fatigue. They can also respond to the information collected and analyzed by giving real-time, on-the-spot, audible and visual coaching feedback. According to a recent ILO report just published 2 weeks ago on the occasion of the 2025 World Day for Health and Safety at Work, AI vision-based fleet camera systems are already widely used in sectors where fleet safety is key. Examples include construction, food services, delivery, and of course as well logistics and tracking. But innovation hasn't stopped here. We are also witnessing AI systems that not only monitor workers' behavior, they do actually measure bodily responses. Take wearables, for example. Technologies like the one you see here in this picture, like that are called smart cap, use EEG sensor integrated in headbands that can be then clipped into a hard hat, a baseball cap, or any other type of headwear that is used by workers. This system can detect and predict individual levels of fatigue by measuring and monitoring brainwave activity. It is indeed known that changes in the electrical patterns of brain activity can signal that somebody is getting drowsy. Now, these systems are used for proactive fatigue fleet management in several industries, for example, as well in the mining sector industry. This system can issue immediate alert signals based on the alert level of the worker. For example, based on a 5-level alert scale, with level 5 being clinical sleepiness, if a vehicle driver is at level 4 for 2 minutes, the system, the wearables, will trigger an alarm, which then the employer will decide whether safety protocol need to be activated, for example, pulling over the drivers. Now, there is no doubt. This system may provide opportunities and benefits for both workers and companies. And yes, they can help companies to run more efficiently. But more importantly, they may assist employers in anticipating and managing occupational health and safety risks before they happen, thereby promoting a safer workplace. Just recently, the WHAI has published a report along with several case studies showcasing how smart digital monitoring systems are actually playing a key role in workplace safety, and they may do even more in the future. Take the smart cap technologies with the headbands that I described before. In a case study published by WHAI, an end user reported that by using these headbands, there was a 0 fatigue accident and a 60% reduction in fatigue alarm rate after 3.5 years and 1.1 million hours of systems operation. These are proactive tools for OSH management. And this means that company may be able to intervene sooner to protect the workforce. And this is not just good for business, it's a legal obligation. Under both national and European legislation, companies have a legal duty of care. They need to make sure that employees remain safety in the workforce, in the workplace, sorry. And now, with the use of the AI, employers may be even better equipped to meet that responsibility. Workers do also gain from safer workplaces, and so do passengers, for example, on buses, other drivers, and in general, society at large. But here is the question we need to sit with. What are we actually trading off? What are the legal challenges, the legal risk of using these devices in the workplace? And the answer is rather straightforward, a potential violation of workers' fundamental rights to privacy, data protection, and health and safety. So what rights are at stake? As I mentioned, first and foremost, we're talking about the right to data protection. This system, as you've probably already understood, they gather, combine, analyze a host of information about the wearer, about the user, about the worker, about you, if you think about the long-haul examples just given at the beginning. We are talking about personal data in a context which is already marked by the imbalance of powers between employers and employees. We are also talking about information so intimate, like brainwave data, that some of which can be classified as sensitive data under the GDPR. And this does raise concerns. It does raise concerns along the entire data management process. It does raise concern about how workers' right to data protection should actually be respected. From the moment data are being collected, can they actually be collected at all, to the moment data are being analyzed by the machine learning algorithms, to who should see the data, just the employee or the employer, the line manager, who? and to how the data should be used, or better, not misused by employers. Now, let's take a moment then and look more closely at one example on how AI, the integration of AI, could have an impact on workers' right to data protection. So imagine a transport company that is interested and would like to introduce brainwave technology to monitor workers' safety. The question here is, does it have any legal basis to process workers' data, in this case sensitive data, to monitor their safety using AI system? Now, under the GDPR, a company might have a legitimate interest to do so. But that's not a free pass, and especially it's not a free pass because we're talking about sensitive data. We're talking about brainwave data. It then becomes, as you can see here, a careful balancing exercise. On the one side of the scale, you have a company's legitimate interest, and let's not forget also an obligation, to monitor its workforce to keep them safe. On the other side, however, you do have workers' rights, workers' fundamental right, privacy, data protection, and yes, also the right to health and safety, the same right that the AI system is intended actually or designed to protect. So when, if ever, does a company legitimate interest to use AI to keep its worker safe outweighs the right to employees to privacy, data protection, and health and safety? There is not a one-size-fits-all answer to this. It may depend on how necessary the integration of the AI system is to protect worker safety. So it boils down to the question, are there less invasive yet effective tools to protect workers? So if you think about in the transport industry, do we truly need systems that monitor workers' behavior or even workers' brainwave data to keep workers safe? Or do traditional tools still actually do the job? Moving now to the second rights that may be at stake here, the right to health and safety at work. This system may pose new occupational health and safety risks, and this may cause also a potential violation of the right to health and safety, a right that in 2022 the ILO elevated to the status of fundamental right. Under European and national legislation, employers have an obligation to identify, to assess, and to eliminate and/or mitigate occupational health and safety risks. And this applies also when technology, and I would say even when, especially when technology are being introduced in the workplace. So what type of risk are we talking about here? So legal studies, and also more in general, also policy reports, connects monitoring workers' behavior and monitoring workers' health data to the emergence of psychosocial risks that may have an impact on workers' mental health, as they may induce stress, anxiety, and fear of losing jobs. Now, 3 examples of psychosocial risk factors are the following. The first one, the erosion of work autonomy. Here you can think about an AI system that may contribute to actually limit the margin of maneuver that workers have to carry out their tasks. If you think about the example of truck drivers, you can think about, for example, an AI system that instructs a driver to take a break, even outside their scheduled breaks. The second factor is the perceived, or at times also real, intrusion into privacy and data protection. This is due, obviously, to the extensive collection and analysis of data. And lastly, the fear of discriminatory uses, or simply put, the fear of misuse of the insight retrieved by the data by their employer. The line between monitoring workers' performance and monitoring workers' health and safety is rather thin and sometimes even blurred. In one of the case studies published by WHAI, looking at the headband, measuring brainwaves, for example, workers admitted or said that one of the main fears of introducing, or main resistance of introducing these devices was exactly the fear of getting tired and actually getting fired. So, to conclude, the use of AI is definitely reshaping the way we work. It's also changing the way employers can monitor its workforce safety. In the transport sector, AI systems that detect workers' behavior or workers' brainwave data sounds like a breakthrough. And there are no doubts that this system may present opportunities and benefits. However, the integration of this system doesn't come without legal risks. No matter the type of technology being introduced, no matter the type of sectors also being introduced. We hence need to make sure that the safety needs do not come at the expenses of workers' right to privacy, data protection, and health and safety. There is a balance here to strike. Just because technological development is allowing us to monitor workers, I believe we need to continue answering ourselves the question, to what extent should we actually monitor worker safety with AI-powered tool technologies? Thank you very much.